The reason why I like this show so much is that it takes these ideas, and these are all folklore and mythology and religion. It draws from all over world culture and takes these ideas, and then it does something with it. Every time we talk about a mediocre horror movie that just does the basics, I'm like, have you never seen an episode of Supernatural? Have you never thought one step beyond the basic formula? Can you not come up with a context or motivation or a twist that builds on this familiar idea, but is actually good and is actually a good story? I could go on for 2 hours just quoting episodes where they do this, because they don't do it in every episode, right? There are some mediocre episodes in the show, but they never stop coming up with interesting twists to these familiar ideas. And because the familiar ideas, they are recognizable and relatable, and because of the twist, that keeps it fresh. If you watch an episode, you never quite know how this is going to turn out, but it will all make sense in the end. And that is the promise that an episode of Supernatural makes, and it always keeps. I can't think of an episode where I just felt cheated, where I said, oh, this is just cheap. This is just a cop-out. You promised me one thing, but you gave me something much lamer. It does not happen in the show, at least for me. For almost 20 years, it's been with me. It's one of my all-time favorite shows. It also ruined most horror and fantasy movies for me, because they tend to make mistakes, especially in how they handle their lore and how they handle their characters and how they handle like the metaphysics of it, the rules of how things work and what you can do with those rules, right? That those rules are not a straitjacket, they're not an obstacle you have to overcome. These are actually your foundation that you build your story on. Once you respect the rules, you can add twists and exceptions to them. It enables really good stories. The twists actually make sense. They don't come out of nowhere. It's just good. It just works. It makes for better stories. If anybody wants to tell fantasy stories, horror stories, anything like this, watch Supernatural and see how they do it, because that is just how it's done. I cannot think of a better example of how to use these stories, folklore, mythology, all of these things. There's just no better example as far as I'm concerned. That's why it's one of my favorites.
God damn, that was an amazing bitch. I'm definitely gonna have to check out season 1 now. Flip it, I cannot after hearing that.
And part of it is that those rules are just something I really care about. I really want stuff to matter in stories. And so if you set up rules like how ghosts work or how demons work, and then you just break those rules just out of convenience because you can't think of a way of making what you've already established make that work, I'm just not impressed. It's your job as an author to use these rules to construct a scenario that puts characters into interesting places and that people can care about. This show just does it correctly, and this is the number one thing I care about in stories with like a supernatural angle to them. And because this show focuses so much on it and gets it so right, it's my number one.